I love it. I actually, Pamela Gold, wherever you are, I'm going to start this straight away because
State proper. Yeah.
this is definitely part of what we're talking about today. The fact
Mm-hmm.
that what Pam is congratulating me for and proud of me for is that I just went live on Facebook for the first time. And I've been so in resistance to that for many, many a week and month. Let's just say it that way.
Holding space for this massive amount of growth. Super, super proud of you, my dear.
Thank you. Thank you. And, I mean, the truth is that like, I say this a lot and I mean it every time, is that no one cares in the good way. Like when we're afraid to be out there, when we're afraid to be rejected or seen, or like because it's, when you're putting yourself out there as something you care about, it's so understandable that those very human, like group needing to be accepted in the group, those very primal fears, right? Of fear of rejection. Like, it's not just like, oh, I need to be cool or be praised or anything like that. It's that core human need to be accepted, to feel a sense of safety and security. That stuff for me, it feels triggered when I put myself out there. And so reminding myself that no one cares in the good way, as in they're cool with what I do. They don't care. It's all good. No big deal. Right. And so, and I'll also on the other side of the house, the people that are, my people and want to support me and believe in what I stand for and like being a part of what I put out there and get value from it and just know and love me. Those people care in the great way and want to support me. And that's wonderful. So yeah, it's just, thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. And just to add to that, there will be some people who don't like us.
Totally.
I mean, I can't understand it on
I
any
don't even know.
level, obviously.
I have
It's
no
friggin'
idea those people are.
hysterical. But like, there's going to be some people who we irritate the fuck out of.
Absolutely.
And they're like rolling their eyes. Like I had that when I did my book. I had a friend who I love and respect reach out to me and be like, can you please stop sharing like your work stuff on your personal Facebook page? Because I want to like stay connected with you and the kids, and I don't want to like be marketed to. And I'm like, hey, I totally get it. And I will not be offended if you block me.
Yeah.
And my work is personal. Like my
Yeah,
work
exactly.
is personal and it's
Yeah.
me. So I get it. And one of the ways that I describe it, because you and I are so on the same path, it manifests in different ways because of our different kind of life story. But it has been, I mean, I've been doing Facebook Lives for a while, but the first bunch, and still my heart beats fast every time I do a Facebook Live. And I'm like, because it is important and it's normal and appropriate for us to have that nervousness that we know how to skillfully switch to excitement, right?
Yeah.
But, in that same path, it's all that. So.
Yeah. Well, and to speak to why this is relevant to today's sesh with Pam and me is that we're talking about goal setting and taking action like far beyond what we normally would do to make progress toward those goals. So it's like, obviously there's a whole ton of stuff to talk about in regards to what are our goals? How do we set goals? We have to figure out what our values are. How do we do that? How do we then set goals from there? How do we hold ourselves accountable? What actionable steps? Like it could easily instantly become overwhelming. Yeah. So
6-week course.
So
let's do it, Mel.
So first, for this session, there's a ton that we could talk about, and we'll talk about some stuff and probably go forward and talk about more stuff in the future. So as to not do a freaking 6-hour course today, day, 6 week or whatever. So the Facebook Live that I just did is definitely part of my goal to continue to expand personally and professionally, to be of service at a higher level in new ways, and to continuously be an example of courage. Like, I so stand for that. So like, I'm always and often looking for ways that I can continue to grow myself and personally and professionally, and continue to be that example of courage, which I feel like is how I choose to lead. Like, as opposed to, like, you know what I mean? Like, I like to do as a way of leading is my point.
And to validate that is critical, because You can have all the best ideas in the world and the best of intentions. If we don't take action, it's useless.
Absolutely.
Like, no use to us or anyone else if we don't take action.
Mm-hmm.
So for you and I, having this mindset around, okay, we identify what strategically are appropriate goals. And again, it's like a big process, but you and I will see that, like, okay, Facebook Live is really an appropriate strategy because it's a wonderful vehicle. People get notified. It
Yep.
can then be shared. Like, it's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then you and I do the work around, okay, so that is an action
Mm-hmm.
that I need to be taking. And then what inner work do we need to do to take that action and not allow our fears, our issues, hopefully to slow us down too long, too
I
long,
can,
too long.
I can test the need part is the fear part. I
Uh-huh.
can test that we always want to do this stuff.
Mhm. Oh,
Like, it might not feel like, because you feel the fear, but the desire is what the want is connect. And I know you mean this. The
yeah. Like,
desire is connected to our core value of we want to be of service and we want to do all those things. So that's why we then do something that's uncomfortable, like being seen by however many people see our videos or whatever.
yeah. I mean, and for me, and the way that I'd explain that in my book is the difference between a vision or a desire, because
Mm-hmm.
our desires are kind of the wants, like any moment, kind of the gratifying, like what's comfortable, right? Those
Mm-hmm.
are our kind of wants. And then when we set our goals, that's our vision, right? Like, those,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, like we're envisioning the pathway, at least steps we can take towards greatness, towards achieving what we want to achieve.
Yeah.
That's that shift for me, that, like, okay, if I identify that this is part of, like, the vision or the goal to get to the
Yeah.
vision, then that's what I want to do. Like, I want to delay the gratification of my actual moment to moment wants,
Correct.
desires.
Right. Yep.
And instead I want to use the higher part of my brain
Yeah.
and move towards that vision and the goals. And that takes
Exactly.
massive action in the direction of our dreams.
So true. I've said this a million times. I've made videos about this countless times. Well, not countless. That's totally not true. A few times.
Maybe I can count only to 3. I mean,
Exactly.
I can't count above
Countless.
3.
Countless. Am I an over dramatizer? Maybe.
Maybe.
Who knows?
Perhaps.
No, but I've made videos about this before. I've posted about it a bunch, is that inspiration is nothing without the action to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of facilitating change in life and achieving goals.
Yeah.
Like, because that's the thing, as a life coach, as someone who's a teammate with people in conversation around what they want to make change, how they want to make change in their life or in themselves, or how they feel day to day, it's like, we have to get really honest with, okay, you're saying you want to do this, but you're choosing this, but you're doing this instead.
Yeah,
Like,
what are the actions? What actions are you taking moment to moment? What are your choices moment to moment?
Yeah, the cognitive dissonance, right, between what we say we want and then what we actually do. So
Mm-hmm.
that there's a reckoning internally and with ourselves that comes with actually saying, okay, well, what actually is there for me? Why am I not taking this action that I know will serve me?
Mm-hmm.
And looking at that, that's why I like having a coach or a teammate. And I'm not trying to be salesy about coaching, but
yeah, it doesn't have to be us, just somebody.
yeah, like somebody to
we are
support
awesome,
you.
but
Somebody to support you through that process, because it is scary, and it totally helps to have support to get us over the hump of building new habits or trying new things. Like, I totally had my coach supporting me to go live because I was nervous. I didn't want to tell her that I was going to do it, but I did. Even telling her, I was like, oh, fuck, like I literally got scared telling her that I was committed to going live this morning. And I knew that once I spoke it out loud to her for accountability, that I was like, it was a certainty. I was in. Yeah. So like, having that support is critical. At least it is for me. Maybe not for other people. Maybe people do better, like really not having anybody know when they're going to try something new. But I tend to see with myself and clients that accountability and support is a crucial element to actually being able to expand in those ways that scare us.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the research shows that only 20% of people are intrinsically motivated naturally, which means that they're motivated from the inside out, which then gives them the power from the inside out to change their habits. And our habits, like you said, we are creatures of habit. We have to be creatures of habit because our brain, absolutely, our conscious brain could not handle everything that we have to do all day long if 90% of it wasn't just a habit. Right. So in order to change any of our behavior, we need to mindfully, with intention, go about doing that.
Right.
And without having a coach to come from the outside and to support us with not just the motivation, but the clarity of like when we're actually not being aware, when we're not, acting with intention and mindfulness, but we're acting on that autopilot old habit that doesn't serve us. That's actually not moving us towards our goal.
Yeah.
And, the research shows most of our day is on that kind of habitual autopilot mode. And that's not living with intention. And that's not taking massive action towards your goals unless you've worked to instill the habits, which both you and I have done. We have habits around those bigger kind of action points, right?
Yes,
And that's another way that a coach can help, because that's all kind of strategic stuff that we never learned in school. Like, although I have to say, Talia's school is doing a great job empowering them with tools and organizational tools. Like everyone has to have a planner. Everybody has to block out like what's due when and where they have to be when. And it's empowering them with stuff that like I eventually by like force had to come up with some systems, but there's certainly much better systems than the ones that I can, because we know that's not my strong suit. But that's, I mean, it's all around that. Like, how are we going to get out of our own way and organized and empowered to take that massive action? And that's why the goal piece, the goal setting is so important.
Yeah.
Because it's the setting of the goal that is the target, that then it's like, oh yeah, wait, no, that's where I'm going. I'm going over there. I'm going over there. I'm going over there.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is that like, when we talk about goal setting, a lot of people get stuck. And in my experience, I've seen a lot of people get stuck and I've gotten stuck plenty of times around this idea that I'm just don't know what to do. Like that, there's just this moment where you're like, I'm paralyzed because I don't know what to do. I don't have a goal in mind or anything in mind that I'm pretty sure or confident will bring me in a direction that's good for me or good for my life or good for the goals that I have for myself. Like that whole thing, that lack of clarity, that I find is what paralyzes most people. Like a lot of people that I work with, once they have clarity, once they're like, yes, this will help me move in a direction I want to move in, they're fucking all about it. They're like, boom, no problem. Action is no worries for them in that headspace. So speaking to when we're not sure and when we've taken time to try to figure out what we want to do, if you still can't figure out like a goal or you still feel unclear, take some form of action to get some new information and experience into your life and self and mind, because we never know what will come from that experience, from that experiment. I like saying it's an experiment because there's no big deal. If it shows you that it's a direction you don't want to go, that's excellent. That is
it's learning. No matter what, you will learn something.
Such useful information. So I like to speak to that because people are like, well, I don't know what to do next. I don't know what to do. And they get sort of stuck around the, I need to know, otherwise I can't take action. When I would contest, actually, sometimes taking action helps us then know what we do want to do next.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's like, that's perfect advice, because I know that even for me, I mean, you know, where I am kind of in my business and my work, and there's a lot of different directions that I could be going. And I find that taking action continuously, taking action every day, no matter what, even if I'm not sure, like, you know, me, I'm working on a course, I'm working on like 5 more books. You and I are doing these and I'm doing podcasts. And so like, it's really easy to get too, spread out and not focused enough. And what I find is no matter what I choose to do, there is some feedback in it. that
Yes,
then gives me the additional information to be clearer about what my next best step is. And that way
exactly.
I'm also keeping momentum. I don't ever lose momentum in my work, right?
Yeah.
That is key because inertia is a real thing.
Oh, yeah, it's huge. I mean, because again, that's what we're trying to initiate from that stuck place, from that paralyzed place, is to initiate that momentum. And also, what I think is so great about taking action, regardless of what's going on, like, yeah, certainly we can get spread too thin. That's totally, of course, normal. The idea of taking action, though, too, it informs us of what we're capable of. It
Mhm.
informs us that we're able to take action that we're not sure about and learn from it. It teaches us and informs us that we can choose something that doesn't work and it's no big deal. We can't, you know what I mean? And it also, and in the biggest, most inspirational sense, for me at least, is that we can take new action and be shown things that we never could have thought up without having done that thing we weren't sure of.
Mhm.
That, like, there's so many ideas. I can't think up all the great shit that has happened in my life. There's no way. No, I didn't start out thinking I could have been a professional skydiver, going to cool events and meeting beautiful people around the world. I never thought that. Not once. I didn't even think it when I was working in skydiving professionally at a single drop zone in Southern California. Like, it didn't even cross my mind until I was like upon it. So
Mhm.
that's why I'm just such a proponent of taking action and doing things and trusting also what will come to you as a result of that.
Absolutely. And as you do that, you're building skills. Yes, you're getting more information and you're building your self esteem because there's that self efficacy piece of it, that knowing that, like, okay, this may not be the exact right move because nothing is ever exactly
Yeah.
right. But as we take, as we take moves, we're learning, we're developing our skills. And like you said before, you're showing yourself that you can do this. And
Yep.
that self efficacy is like one of the core parts of our self esteem that's going to support us through those tough moments when things really aren't going exactly how we thought, and there's this all a huge learning opportunity, right? And we
Yeah.
need to find that strength to keep moving through that learning opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. What's one of your goals right now, Pam?
Well,
Anything you'd like to
I
share?
have to share because I've
Yeah.
talked to my coach, one of my coaches, because I have several
Love it.
other
I
coaches.
know. I have my peeps, my
I
team.
mean, I'm so
All
grateful that I
about,
have that, and I have you, which
all
this
about my team.
is kind of like a coaching session we get to do every week.
I know.
But Laura Allen, who the
Mhm.
pitch girl, I know you know and love Laura.
Love her.
We had our meeting on Friday where I had a lot of clarity around my next important achievement in terms of getting something done, like done in the books, like when I got my book written, published, right, is getting my 6-week course done.
Hmm.
And so we set a goal for this Friday that I was going to spend at least 6 hours of work on that. And I laughed and we joked because sometimes what I do is then just like bang out like way more. And so what happened was Saturday night we came home from dinner and I stayed up until 1 o'clock in the morning. I still got my 7 hours of sleep, but I stayed up until 1 o'clock in the morning and I recorded 16 sessions.
Excellent.
And I'm so pleased with the quality of what I
Hmm.
recorded. I already have edited them, like, because there was very little editing, because it was just like, channeling. And I made
Perfect.
intro and thing. And so I already have up on, and I also installed Zippy courses and got that done. So like, talk about massive action. Like in the last week,
Yep.
it's like, you know how it is, like you'll be like kind of struggling. I'm not sure what to do, not sure what to do. And all of a sudden it's like, bam.
Yep.
And if you look at a plant grow, it's the same way. Like you could be watching a plant or a flower and like, it seems like nothing, nothing, nothing. And then all of a sudden one morning it's like, bam. And you're like, whoa, how did that happen? Where'd that come from? But that's how growth is, that
Hmm.
we have these periods. It's almost like underground where you don't see all that's happening. And then
Yeah.
all of a sudden, you make these huge strides. So that's been
Yep.
it's been a big week. And that's why I was like, we could talk about like massive action and goals, because setting that goal, and that's how I wrote my book too. It's like, all right, how long do I want the book to be? 25,000 pages. All right, I want it to be done by the end of the month. Well, that means I'm going to write 2,000 a day.
Yeah.
And I made sure I did that, 2,000 words a day. Some days I wrote 5, but I
Yep.
never wrote less than 2,000.
Awesome.
And so that's when Laura and I looked at it like, okay, well, when do I want to launch this by? November 30th? All right, well, I don't really know how long it's going to take me to do. So let's just say 6 hours a week.
Yep.
This week, I'll see what I actually get done and what does 6 hours even accomplish? I have no idea.
Yep.
And bam, so setting
Amazing.
that goal for me and then taking the massive action, because I was clear around what I needed to accomplish. So it's not
Yeah.
like I'm messing around for 6 hours because I'm really not sure what I'm doing. I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then I can just do it.
Oh, so great.
It's a good
So great.
feeling.
Well,
Yeah.
so what's so awesome is that like it's helping people. Again, like it's helping people. And
Yeah.
and not everybody's goals are going to be around being of service. It might be around, I don't
Financial
know,
stability,
cleaning your
creating
house.
something that
Yeah. I
establishes financial health and freedom.
absolutely.
Important goals.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it doesn't necessarily have to be all in the self-help zone like you and I are in. We just happen to be in that zone. It's how we roll, and I think it's just the creation part of what we do is it requires some structure and some clarity around the goals because there is so much we could do all the time. We
Yeah.
could write blogs, we could edit, like there's just a zillion things we could do. So it's so great. And I just love it. It echoes again that teammate part of goal setting, that like having the support and having the trusted ear for you to clarify the direction and then be held accountable. I'm such a proponent of accountability. And it
Mm.
doesn't necessarily work for everyone, but I would seriously encourage people to look for a way to infuse their lives with accountability. And it's not just, oh, I'm going to tell some random person what I'm going to do and then hope it works for me. The idea is that you need to tell somebody that you don't want to let down. You need some kind of emotional charge around the person that you tell that is holding you accountable. And ideally that person is up for holding you accountable, like will follow up and say, like a coach does, like, you and Laura, her saying next week, how did it go? Like what's going on with you know what I mean? That's definitely what I do. I stay in contact with my people,
Yeah.
and help them through those humps of like not wanting to do something or not wanting to get into action.
Yeah. And the other thing that had been helpful for me too, in the times that I wasn't directly working with a coach around specific goals, because I'm more of a kind of creative, flowing kind of person. Like my to-do lists like tend to have like 50 things on them, and then it's like overwhelming. Like I just don't. So what I've learned to do for myself that might be helpful for some people is each day to have 3 things.
Nice.
Like the night before or first thing in the morning, like what are the 3 things that I'm going to accomplish today no matter what?
Yeah.
And like no matter what, there have to be 3 things off the list that I know are doable that I'm going to accomplish. And then at the end of it, you feel so good that if nothing else, some days you got those 3 things done. So you can do that for yourself. Like that's a really simple strategy. I forget who I learned that from. I'd like to give credit where credit's due. Sometimes
I know.
I'm like, I listen to so many and have so many fabulous influences in my life. Sometimes I can't remember where I get things.
Yeah.
You've been Danielle Laporte originally, but 3 things. And then okay, so those are your goals. Your goal for that day is just to get those 3 things done.
Yeah.
And that's your massive, massive action. Who knows how big those 3 things are, but 3 doable things. That's a goal for your day.
Yep.
And then you hold yourself to it. And then you'll feel good that you, if nothing else, got those 3 things done.
Yeah. And just to share one of my goals, just to be sharing and open, it not to be a broken record, but it is definitely is to do Facebook Live once a week minimum through the end of the year. So the idea is to really have a full experience with that as an avenue to reach people and create content, and also to get more comfortable speaking live.
Mm-hmm.
So I think because another goal is to speak more on stages, to really have my content honed, to get my stories dialed in. Because again, I love, making conversation with people. The idea of being in front of people, like more than one person like this, or more than one person, like as a coaching conversation, I love the idea of expanding into that conversational style, because I'm not necessarily afraid of being up in front of people. It's more that I'm like, I'm not really sure what I'm going to say. So the goals are around figuring out what I'm going to say, how I'm going to say it, and getting the practice and being open to not being that good at it at first, So like doing my Facebook Live, was I nervous? Yeah. Was I nervous the other day when I stood up in front of a crowd? Yeah. but that's okay. Part of
Yeah.
my goal is to lean into those things and start to get better and better at that kind of
Yeah.
speaking.
Yeah.
I'm
And the
fired up.
practice,
Cool.
and I believe in you, and it's so of service to the world to have your light and love
Thank
shining
you.
out and touching more and more people.
Ditto.
So, I got your back.
Ditto.
One of the things that helped me, because I had that Facebook Live goal,
Mm-hmm.
what helped me is I put the structure around it, and you probably know this, or maybe you don't, I don't know, but
Now tell me.
I write one blog a week,
Mm-hmm.
and then I do a Facebook Live around that blog topic. Because,
Cool.
a lot of people don't read my blog. Very few
Great.
people read my blog.
Oh yeah, my blog is just
Right?
there for people who
Yeah.
go to my website and then
Yeah.
find it. Yeah.
Yeah. So I said, well, if I feel, inspired enough to write a blog around something, I'm inspired enough to talk about it live
Great.
as well. So that's been my structure, the structure that's worked for me.
Super
So
cool.
there's never anything stopping me about like, oh, what am I talking about or whatever. I mean, not that I have trouble coming up with things to talk about. Me, I talk all day.
I know. I'm like, yeah. Practice listening, Melanie.
I love you. You are so inspiring, and I'm so grateful for you.
Oh, you are too. My gosh. It's just to say one more thing. I know we're going to be ending so shortly, but I'm going to first start with doing like Ask Me Anything, because I love, again, I'm so motivated and inspired by being in conversation with my people that I was like, why don't I just go with that format to start? And so I chose a question that I got from someone who's in my coaching group that I run. It's like an accountability group. Again, I feel like I'm pimping all my shit today, but
no, we need to tell people what we do, or people, they won't know. And then,
so one of my people in my Bob group, which stands for Beyond Our Bullshit, which I love because that's what we're all trying to do. We're all trying to move beyond the crap that holds us back. Anyway, one of my peeps in there gave me a question that I was able to start with. So I think I'm going to do it that way, where I address a question and I consider what I'm going to say, and then I talk about it, and hopefully the comments and engagement expands the conversation for others. So it's so exciting.
I love it.
I love you. Thank you, Pam, for all you do and all your support.
I'm so proud of you.
Well, more
Melanie
on
Curtis. Melanie Curtis.com. Wherever we are.
goldevolution.com. More on this topic another day. Thank you guys for being here.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
This has gotta be good. This has gotta be